Hello and welcome back to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction, an audio fic. Welcome to Meeting Under the Stars, chapter 13. If you haven't listened to chapters 1 to 12, they're listed below. I'd recommend checking them out first. And make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. What are you waiting for? And comment down below what you're thinking of the series so far. And I hope you enjoy. Chapter 13. Adrian's POV. He hovered on the spot. His arms felt empty without her in them. What had happened? It hadn't been the reaction he had hoped for, nor the one he had expected. Was it that hard for her to see him as Shat, even though they had spent so much time together as one form or the other? For him, it had made complete sense, as if he already knew in his heart that Marinette was Ladybug. Wait. Is that Marinette crying? A deep crevice formed across his heart at the sound of her pain. In an instant, he wanted to fling the hatch open and wrap his arms around her, telling her it was going to be all right, as his heart broke a little. But she would hate that. And would it be for him or her? She clearly wanted time alone to think. Last night they had been so happy, falling in love all over again, seeing their future mapped out in front of them. But now? No, it was a good thing, she knew. It was one less secret to keep, and she had picked Adrian for the day instead of Shat. That's what he had wanted, for Marinette to choose Adrian. But that was before she knew he was the same person. No, this was a good thing. He needed to show her he is both men she loves, and that's all right. Time was what he could give her. It was what she asked for, and he needed to respect that decision. He would do anything for his love, and if it gave him a chance to be with her, he had to at least try. His restless feet paced along the floor, wanting nothing more than to drown out the sound of her crying as he became acutely aware of. He wished he had some of his things, his own university work to be getting on with as she worked on her projects. This week he had missed some classes and needed to catch up on the notes Nino had got for him. "Kid, why don't we transform and head back and get some cheese?" Plagg floated in front of him, trying to attract his attention. Adrian contemplated for a split second and then thought better of it. Marinette knows Plagg. When she comes back, I'll ask her for some cheese. I'm sure she'll have some. "It's not the same." Plagg folded his arms, disgruntled. "Sugar." "Plagg, no! She doesn't know I know." "What good is this? She knows you're Shat, but I can't act like my friends are here because you're trying to keep a fact that Ladybug's a secret from her?" "Plagg, not so loud." Adrian tried to reach out and grab his Kwame, with him swerving out of the way. "This will not end well if you're gonna keep lying to each other, kid." Plagg huffed, and for once he was giving his friend sound advice that wasn't based around cheese. Adrian knew he was right, but what could he do? Tell her here and now and tip an already fragile relationship over the edge? "Here." Adrian chucked the last piece he had of camembert towards Plagg, who took it whilst mumbling to himself and flying off. Blast. His gut was telling him to tell her, but his heart told him to wait. And this was not the time. Today he was going to listen to his heart. He would tell her. He would once the time was right. Now was not the time. After another minute and several laps of the bedroom, the hatch door opened with Marinette peeking up, like a meerkat on the alert. "Do you need any help there, Marinette?" Her expression softened at seeing his face glancing down at her, and yet her eyes held a hint of sorrow in them. "Do you want to grab the tray?" She picked it off the step and held it out for him as she closed the hatch behind her. So, I was thinking, do you fancy having our drinks curled up and watch Gentlemen Prefer Blondes? He handed her his hand, helping her to stand even though she didn't need it. I don't know if this one does. There's only one I prefer. He pulled her in closer as she rolled her eyes at his quick-witted line, but couldn't help the smile spread across her lips, lightening his heart. I wanted to watch it during the week, but never got round to it. You see, for my pieces, I've gone for Timeless, inspired by two legendary women, Marilyn Monroe and Jane Russell, and the costumes in this film are amazing. I mean, the glamorous side alone, never mind the cut and the style of some of the outfit. She blushed as she noticed the grin forming on his face. She paused, staring at him as if she was taking the whole of him. She raised her hand and stroked her fingers along his features, across his high cheekbones and down to his jaw. His breathing had slowed to barely a breath as it escaped his lungs. She leaned in a little closer. The smell of her coconut shampoo on her damp hair filled his senses as he brushed it behind her shoulder and kissed her neck softly. She pulled him tighter as his lips skipped up towards her cheek, finally landing on her own. They kissed as if they were expressing everything they feared saying out loud. He finished the kiss with an extra peck, with their bodies relaxed in each other's arms. We could curl up back in bed and watch it on the laptop. It's still early, and then this afternoon we are free for study. I honestly couldn't think of anything better. He took a deep breath. After the film, is it okay with you? I need to head home and grab my stuff and then come back. He observed her expression and was surprised to see her brush it off as if it was nothing major. Oh, good. They were going to make it through this, one step at a time. They climbed back under the covers with a selection of goodies, including her sketching supplies, waiting for inspiration at the bottom of the bed. However, for the first hour, they simply held each other, laughing at similar points of the film, commentating on some of the more daring clothing choices for that time, and the weight of her head on his chest as he ran his fingers over her bare shoulder in a soothing manner, brushing against the woolen fabric of her jumper. She had been right. It had been important for Marinette and Adrian to get used to each other as a couple, noticing the difference between friend and boyfriend, Adrian felt like, whilst curling up watching a film. Oh, this felt perfect, holding her in his arms like this, able to openly display his love for this woman instead of worrying about every tiny gesture, that she might think he was overstepping, sending out mixed messages. The only message he wanted Marinette to know was how much he loved her. After the film had ended, the mood between them had lightened to the point he felt comfortable, leaving her for an hour to gather his supplies, to Plag's delight. He took the subway back to the flat, picked up extra cheese for his friend in one bag, whilst gathering his textbook and extra change of clothes for university the next day, hoping to suggest spending another night curled up in his princess's arms. He changed out of his hoodie and gym shorts into a more fitting clothes for this time of year of jeans, black t-shirt, and a vintage-style woolen cardigan. He left Ali and Nino a note on the side table for when they returned. He didn't fancy getting into the details of last night and this morning just yet. After all, he wasn't too sure himself. He made a stop at a coffee house and grabbed 2 seasonal hot chocolates, a mint one for himself, with the added candy cane he was sure Marinette would steal, and a toasted marshmallow one for his love. He even splurged out on the seasonal red reusable cups so they can mimic their own versions on another day. Now that Halloween had passed, the world was counting down to Christmas. The sudden thought of spending his holidays with Marinette as a couple brought a joy to his heart. Their first time of a lifetime of traditional Christmases was what he had been dreaming of for years, and now it was finally coming true. The tinkering sound of the brass bell for the bakery sounded out. He was home. Tom greeted him with a warm smile and a pat on the back, almost spilling the hot chocolates. As he made his way into the living room, Sabine greeted him from the kitchen. "Welcome back, Adrian," giving him a knowing look. "Afternoon, Mama Shang." He felt the stress and the tension release at being back in the warm embrace of this loving home. Marinette is a hive of activity up there. Something has inspired her again. Adrian blushed at her gaze and darted up the stairs, and she was right. Marinette was standing in front of one of her mood boards, holding out various samples of cloth. "I'm back, my love." That felt good to say. "Adrian, good! I need your help." She gestured him over, not breaking her focus. He dropped his bags and handed her the hot chocolate. "Thanks." She took a sip. "Ooh, this is good." She paused, glancing down at the cup in her hand, and then gave him a wide grin. "A new one, toasted marshmallow." "I like it. Thank you, my sweet." So thoughtful. She took another sip and let out a sound of delight at the taste. "Anything, my love." She placed down the cup. "In that case, can you stand here and put your arms out?" Adrian chuckled as she grabbed his hand and moved him into position before reaching for a tape measure and fabric samples. She squinted her eyes, focusing on the design inside her mind as she tugged on a lower lip with her teeth. Too cute for words. The rest of the afternoon he'd spent jumping up and down between his own pillow nest on the ground, surrounded by textbooks, and Marinette needing him to pose as she constantly swirled around the room, either talking to herself or to him. He was never sure. He simply added a comment that would trigger another bout of creative ramblings from Marinette. This was heaven. This was perfect. This is what he had imagined life to be. Thank you for listening to chapter 13. Make sure you keep an eye out and subscribe for chapter 14, which is coming soon. I'm also going to be uploading a schedule for October. Now I'm getting my head around all this. And make sure you smash that like button and comment down below what you think of it so far. I love hearing from you guys, okay? So thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.